Let's not waste time pretending this is just another video. You didn't find this by accident. Something in you brought you here. A quiet hunch, an odd pull, a feeling you couldn't quite name, maybe pure curiosity. And now you're here, with me. And maybe, for the first time in a while, I can make you feel like somebody is actually speaking to you. Like somebody is speaking to the real you. Not the version of you keep composed when the world's watching. The real you. The one who stares into the ceiling at midnight, wondering if everything is about to change, or if it already has, and you just haven't caught up yet. I'm not here to sell you false comfort or fragile optimism. I'm here to sit beside you, right here, in this pause before the pivot, because that's what this is, a pause, a quiet breath before the ground beneath you begins to shift. And if you've been feeling it, subtle, unshakable, you're not imagining it. You were never meant to stay where you are now. Maybe lately things feel heavier for no apparent reason, or lighter, but in that strange way that comes before a storm breaks. You've outgrown parts of your life, but you're not fully in your new skin yet. It's like being between names, between who you were and who you're becoming. And that middle space can be very maddening. You crave clarity. The fog hasn't lifted. That is okay. Shifts never announce themselves loudly. They start in the unseen, the restlessness, in dreams that won't shut up, in the sudden urge to clean your entire room at 3 a.m, in moments where you can't explain why you feel the need to change your hair, your job, your entire life. Your subconscious knows before your conscious mind can catch up. The pieces are already moving. You're not behind. You are right on time. Think of this like a bow being drawn back. All the tension you felt. It felt like a sign of failure, but it is kinetic potential. Energy storing, direction loading. It may have looked like delay, but from another angle, it is momentum building. This is the paradox of transformation. You often feel stuck right before you leap forward, like a caterpillar liquefying in the cocoon. You dissolve before you reconfigure. And that weird, disorienting phase that you're in, that is what transition feels like from the inside. It's not tidy or linear, but it is necessary. You might not know what you're stepping into, but something in you knows that you are done standing still. And that knowing, it's enough to activate the shift. Let's pause here, together, because I want you to hear something that might rewrite a few things. You are not lost. You are being rerouted. And no, this isn't spiritual bypassing or poetic fluff. It's neuroscience. Your brain is plastic, alive, rewirable. It listens. It adapts. Every new decision, every unfamiliar thought. You are literally carving new neural pathways. You are allowed to outgrow things you once prayed for. You are allowed to not make sense to others while you become more you. You're allowed to pivot, even if it means rebuilding from scratch. That desire you feel to change something, it feels like dysfunction, but it is intelligence. It's evolution whispering that it's time. Let's get abstract for a second. There's a theory in quantum physics that particles behave differently when they are being observed. Reality shifts based on attention. Now think about your life. What if your next breakthrough isn't about doing more, but about observing differently? Start watching for evidence that it's already happening. The strange timing of things. The conversation that cracks something open. The discomfort that doesn't feel random anymore. The signs don't always come in blazing neon lights. Sometimes they come in goosebumps. Sometimes they come in you hearing this right now. There's a moment in every story where the character can't go back, but hasn't yet arrived. And that's where you are now. The threshold, the between. It's sacred ground. If you feel tired, it's because you're carrying parts of yourself that don't belong in the next chapter. If you feel wired, it's because something in you has already glimpsed what is possible. If you feel both, welcome. You are not broken. You are breaking open. You are being stretched so your life can hold more than it used to. More truth, more alignment, more you. I'm going to ask you to do something. Not because you have to, but because there's power in the smallest gesture. After this ends, find a quiet moment and say out loud, I'm ready for what's next, even if I don't know what it is yet. It doesn't need to be louder than a whisper, but it needs to be yours. Because when you speak your readiness into the air, you become an accomplice in your own unfolding. You give the unknown permission to respond, and it will. Place your hand on your chest for a moment. Feel that rhythm? It's been steady through every chapter. Your life force didn't abandon you. Your future isn't waiting for you to be perfect. It's waiting for you to say yes. And you don't need a 5-year plan to do that. You just need to keep showing up with your questions, your doubts, and your fire. Because here's the secret. Massive shifts don't come because we figure everything out. They come because we finally stop pretending that we're not ready. And whether or not you feel ready, you are. This is where things begin to tilt. Not because the world outside changes instantly, but because you do. The moment you recognize that your restlessness is sacred, that your discomfort is a doorway, that your longing is a compass, everything starts to align. You begin noticing people who mirror your next level, opportunities that feel like they are waiting just for you, thoughts that feel like they came from the future, thoughts that feel like they came from the future you. That's the shift. It begins inside. From you. It's quiet, undeniable, electric. And once it starts, it doesn't stop. You are stepping into something larger, not because someone gave you permission, but because you finally gave it to yourself. So walk forward, lightly, bravely, imperfectly. You don't need to see the whole path. Just take the next step. Everything is about to change. You got this. You don't need to be sure to begin. You don't have to be confident. You don't have to be fearless. You just have to be willing. There is a difference. Confidence comes after you've done the scary thing. Willingness comes before. Willingness whispers, I don't know how, but I will try. It's the flicker that comes before the flame. You've been taught to wait until you feel certain, until you've mapped it all out. But the truth is, clarity often follows movement. You step, and then the path appears. You reach, and then the support arrives. You commit, and then the resources surface. Think of all the doors in your life you didn't even know existed until you walked down a hallway that you almost ignored. This moment, right now, is another one of those hallways. And just by being here, by listening, you've already opened the door. You don't need proof. You are the proof. Your subconscious isn't logical. It's literal. It takes what you repeat and builds a life around it. So every time you say, I can't do this, I'm stuck, this is just who I am, your subconscious starts laying the bricks to make it true. But if you shift the script, even slightly, if you start saying, something in me is shifting, I am learning, I am open to something new, your inner world rewires. That is not wishful thinking. It is Neuro-linguistic programming. Language as leverage. Your words create patterns. Your patterns shape belief. Your belief directs behavior, and behavior becomes your life. This is how that shift begins. Not in shouting, but in subtle permissions whispered to yourself when no one is watching. So let's start here, silently or out loud. Say, I am not who I used to be. And then just let that truth echo. You've outgrown your own camouflage. That's why it has been uncomfortable. You've been trying to shrink yourself to fit into old rooms, old roles, old rhythms, but the architecture of your soul has changed. You can't go back. Not because you failed, but because you have evolved. Sometimes you don't get to stay in the environment that's taught you to survive, because now you're learning to thrive. And thriving will ask you to leave behind coping mechanisms that once protected you. You're not lazy, you're not scattered, you're not too much. You're in the shedding phase. And shedding looks like chaos before it looks like clarity. So if everything's been falling apart, it might actually be falling into place. Let's anchor this into something practical. You don't need a 90-day transformation plan. You need a micro movement today. One small shift that signals to your system, we're not stuck, we're in motion. It can be as simple as changing your phone wallpaper to a word that inspires you, saying no to one thing you usually say yes to out of guilt, waking up and making your bed like it matters. That's not nothing. It is reprogramming. Your nervous system creates momentum. Your nervous system craves momentum, not perfection. So give it that. A cue, a nudge, a tiny intentional disruption, and repeat it until it becomes a groove. And when it does, you'll start to feel the air around you start to change. The room you're in will feel different because you are different in it. You won't always get a sign. Sometimes there's no trumpet blasts, no lightning bolts. Sometimes the entire shift is just quiet, like realizing you no longer want what once consumed you, or noticing you didn't aspire after something that used to wreck you, or finding yourself excited for no reason at all. These moments are the tide turning. It's subtle, but it's irreversible, because once you begin to expand, you can never fully contract again. The version of you who doubted everything, they're not gone, but they're no longer in the driver's seat. You are reclaiming the wheel. You are speaking the new story. You are remembering. You are not what happened to you. You are what you chose to become despite it. Here's the truth most people avoid. Big changes often arrive in disguise. Sometimes it looks like being let go. Sometimes it looks like heartbreak. Sometimes it looks like being so fed up that you finally stop pretending. But under the surface, something ancient is realigning. It's not punishment. It's more like repositioning. Every time life removes something that is not for you, it's making space for what is. And if you can hold that perspective, even for a second, you tap into a power that can move mountains. You stop begging for clarity, and you start becoming the clarity. You start waiting for a sign, and you start realizing that you are the signal. There comes a moment, and maybe it's this moment, where you have to stop asking if you're ready, because you've heard the response, and you know that you are. Not because you feel invincible, but because something deeper than fear finally begins to speak louder than it. You may not have all the answers, but you have outgrown the questions that used to trap you, and that in itself is evolution. You no longer need to prove your worth. You are no longer trying to be chosen, because you are starting to choose yourself. That shift is what changes everything, because when you stop outsourcing your validation, you become magnetic. You start calling in people, places, and possibilities that are attuned to your actual frequency, not the watered down version of you once presented just to be accepted. This is sacred ground now. Don't rush past it. This is the before. The inhale before the thunder. The moment you look back and say, this is where it all started changing. Somewhere a version of you exists who already made it to the other side. They don't second guess every step. They don't apologize for their intensity. And they are not afraid of their own voice. They are ready, expansive, electric. They are unmistakably you. And here's the thing. They remember this version of you. The one listening right now. The one who dared to believe that maybe, just maybe, you could become more. They love you for not giving up. They honor the way you held the line, even when your hands were shaking. Every time you felt like nothing was happening, they were watching the foundation being poured. Every day you kept going, they were getting closer. Your future self is not a stranger. They are your echo in reverse. And if you listen closely, you might already hear them whispering, keep going, I'm waiting for you. And you are closer than you think. Before we part ways for now, I want to leave you something tangible, a final signal to your subconscious. After this ends, I invite you to change something, one thing, anything. Rearrange your furniture, rename a folder on your desktop, clean your mirror and write a word on it, light a candle and set an intention into the flame. It doesn't matter what you choose, only that you do choose. Because that single act, however small, becomes a portal, a declaration, a psychological contract with your future self. You're not just thinking about the shift anymore, you are participating in it. And from this moment forward, everything in your reality will begin to organize around that. Subtly, quietly, and unstoppably. If you ever forget what's stirring in you now, if you ever fall back into the illusion that nothing is happening, return to this message, because something has already happened. Even if your mind hasn't caught up, your spirit has. You've crossed a threshold, not in the external, but in the internal coordinates of who you are. And once you cross that line, there is no unknowing, no unseeing, no returning. You are on your way. Not someday, not eventually. Now. You've become a match with the future that you have quietly craved. You are the frequency. You are the shift. So take your next breath with intention. Step with awareness. Speak with conviction. Look around as if the world is conspiring for you, because it is. And soon, very soon, your outer reality will start to reflect the new inner coordinates you've just chosen. Welcome to the moment before everything changes. You'll look back on this day and know this was the beginning, and it found you exactly when it was meant to. You got this.